Good morning, world.
Good morning. I'm sure you've heard the story already about the man exposing his junk in the women's spa locker room in Los Angeles, but you haven't heard our take on it.
And Cedric, remember how we talked about these men transitioning to women and then beating them in women's sports?
Yep.
Well, apparently, a man can even beat a woman in a woman's beauty pageant.
It's a damn shame.
Damn shame.
Up next on Cedric and Brian, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian, and this is Cedric and Brian.
Okay, welcome back everyone. Before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, and most importantly, ring that bell. I can't stress you how important that is. If you don't ring the bell, you don't get notified when we put up new videos, and we don't get to our 10,000 subscriber mark. So ring that bell and share our videos with everyone you know.
And if you lose us on this channel, I am uploading on Rumble now. So, and also, hats, get your hats.
CMB10.
Right here, there's the nice hats we have, and I've been working with our embroidery guy to get that youth size that I wear. And then, like Cedric said, here's the code. Use CNB10 to get 10% off all your hats. All right,
let's get into this. You guys have seen this video already. This is at a spa about 6 or 7 miles from where I grew up in Los Angeles, which is one of the main reasons why I left Los Angeles. It's just become a petri dish for all kind of nonsense. But we're gonna look at this video here. We're gonna comment on it, and let's roll it.
We spa, so you don't. So it's okay. I just want to be clear with you. It's okay. It's okay for a man to go into the women's section, show his penis around the other women, young little girls underage. Your spa, we spa, condone that. Is that what you're saying? Like I asked. It's so he could stay there. He could stay there. What sexual orientation? I see a. It lets me know he's a man. He's a man. He is a man. He is not no female. He is not a female. He is not a female. Hold on. He is not a female, sweetie. Okay, girls down there, other women who are highly offended for what they just saw. And you did nothing. Absolutely nothing. In fact, you sided with him. So We Spa is in agreement with men that just say they are a woman and they can go down there with their penis and get into the women's section. Is that what you're saying? What really? What law? What law?
We put everything back.
So women can go.
All right, it's a long clip. I'm sure you've seen it before. Mm-hmm. One thing I liked is how she used penis a couple times, but then when she really wanted to get her point across, she threw out the old D word.
Yeah, yeah. and I love that because that's where the rubber meets the road. I mean, I think we play around with this so much. She's like, he has a penis. He's a man. And in lieu of that, she says, I have a vagina. I'm a woman. That's where it's at.
Yeah, I mentioned this numerous times. If you want to make it clear, if you want clarity. So we have symbols now because we have to take into account that maybe people don't speak English because we are a big melting pot. So we have symbols for everything, right? So you have a little dress, looks for the women's bathroom, even though that we can't really do that anymore. You got the men's bathroom. Let's make it easy. And I told Cedric this. On the door for the men just has a penis, and the women just has a vagina. And then all you have to do is look down. It doesn't matter what you identify at, and then we wouldn't have these problems. You can identify any way you want. But if you're going to bring your junk out, whether it's men or women, you go into the appropriate bathroom that has your anatomical part. You can call yourself whatever you want, but if you have that anatomical part, you go into that bathroom, or that locker room, or that shower. That way we won't have this. You can still call yourself a woman or a man or anything you want, but you can't go into it. You got to look down. Now, if you've already had the surgery, fine, go into the women's because now you're not going to offend these women or these children because you'll look like a woman from head to toe.
Yep. And I think currently, if the numbers are correct, 1.4 million people identify, there's one of the buzzwords, 1.4 million people identify as transgender. So that's like 0.5% of the population. The reason I'm bringing that up is because people are going to say, well, Cedric, what about those people that are transgender. You don't know one. And the people who are asexual, who don't know what they are, they don't have a penis or a vagina. I don't want to hear that because that's an anomaly. It's similar to Bigfoot, the Loch Ness Monster, and Joseph Biden stringing together 2 consecutive sentences. You've never seen it. So don't bring that to the table because you've never even seen it. Don't even do that. And the problem that we're having right now is that we're catering to the smaller group and we're leaving the masses out in the cold. What did these people do before we started all this transgender stuff? And when they went to school and they were in PE, I'm sure they just sucked it up, were manned up, and they went into, like you were just saying, the appropriate bathroom or the appropriate restroom.
Yeah. Well, again, and this goes to a whole nother discussion. Until you're an adult, probably hold off on making those decisions. So when you're in school, and I understand if you, there's a high suicide rate for transgender people, and I get it, and I feel for you. But you shouldn't impose that on somebody who's bringing their little girls into a bathroom, and then they have to see a man's penis at 5, 8, 10 years old, whatever it is. That's not right. And let's say you look like a full woman, go in there and don't disrobe in front of them. Use it, into a private area, then you can use it. Nobody will say anything. But if you go and you pull out your private parts and they don't match the restroom that you're in, you crossed the line. And we have to have those lines. And again, we talked about this last time. You do you, but there's certain lines in society that we have to make. That's the reason we have men and women's bathrooms to begin with.
Exactly. And
I remember the story I was going to talk about at this water park, and I'll put it right here. A female who identified as a male decided to go topless at this water park. Had breasts, but said that she identified as a male, so she said they couldn't tell her to put her top on.
I remember that.
So, again, as teenage Cedric and Brian's, we probably wouldn't have had a problem with that.
Right. Yeah.
But you know what? And this is where we say there's a difference between males and females. For her safety, even though she called herself a him, it's probably not the safest thing to do to go running around with a bunch of young men with your top off.
Right.
That's reality. And I know we all want to live in this utopian society where nobody bothers anybody and there's no rape and there's no murder and there's, bad things don't happen, but that's not reality. So we're trying to make a society where the most amount of people can live in relative safety. And again, you do you. If you look, and we're going to hit this story in a second, if you look like a beautiful woman and you want to be a beautiful woman, great. But once you cross that line and exposing yourself, if you haven't had the surgeries, that is just, we have to draw lines. We just have to. Right.
And also we have to be careful with the press puts out there. Now, me and Brian have, as we get bigger and bigger with our channel, we understand that we're kind of press light. We lean a certain way. But there's an article here from the Daily Dot, which is obviously a left-leaning article because the way they tell the story, it says a viral video shows a woman harassing a Los Angeles spa employee and going on an anti-LGBTQ rant after allegedly seeing a transgender woman in the locker room. The video was posted to Reddit's page and was contentious enough that moderators closed the comments. The incident took place at We Spa, a Los Angeles area facility. And she goes on, now they use the word, I'm not going to go into a lot, but they use the word transphobic 4 times. So the woman who's talking, the one you hear them talking, all of a sudden, like Brian's pointing out, she's just upset because a man who has a penis went into the locker room and exposed himself to not only grown women, but to little girls. But in this article, she is now transphobic.
I know.
And they said that 4 times.
Because that's what they try to do. They control the language, and we've said this before, then they control the narrative. If you're in a shower or a locker room where you get naked to take showers or whatever, and you expose your body parts that don't match what you say you are, not only is it confusing, but let me ask this question. I know people out there that have children. Let's say you have an 8-year-old daughter, 7-8-year-old daughter. Do you really want her to see a stranger's penis? I don't care what the stranger calls himself. It's a penis.
Yeah. And I'm going to read this article later. Should we play the rest of the video? Or we're gonna...
No. The rest of the video, and you can look it up online. It goes on to a man coming up to her and basically calling her transphobic towards the end, right? That's basically all the rest of it is.
Yeah.
It's somebody else calling her out as being transphobic. again, saying that she doesn't want her kids or little kids or women to see penises doesn't make her transphobic. If the person kept their clothes on, I bet there would have been no issue.
Right.
No issue at all.
Right.
Unless the person walked in looking like me with a beard, then there probably would have been an issue whether I took my clothes off or not.
Right.
But let's say the person looked like Blair White. Okay? Blair White, she looks like an attractive woman. Kept her clothes on. There would not have been a problem. But if Blair White took her clothes off and they saw the penis, there would have been a problem.
Yeah. And there's another article here because, believe it or not, just like we talked about during the summer that all black people weren't down with BLM and all white people aren't white supremacists, members of the LGBTQ community, they were appalled by this story. It said after a transgender individual exposed themselves in the women's section of a Los Angeles spa while young girls were reportedly present, Fox News correspondent Tammy Bruce said Monday. So they were appalled at this. And like Brian was saying, I was joking with this, like, if I went down to my local gym...
Was that where Tammy Bruce did that art?
Yeah.
You probably know that name. That's one of the biggest feminists out there.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And even the LGBTQ, they're appalled by this. They said, this individual, this man does not represent us. We don't do that. Because most of them, if they haven't had the surgery yet, they would go into the men's room because, like Brian said in the earlier part of the video, if they have the right appendage, they just go to the corresponding room. It's not a big deal.
Let's just make it simple and make it a drawing so it's not graphic, but people know drawings.
And like tomorrow, if I go to the gym tomorrow, we should do this. We're not really going to do this. It would be fun to think about it. If I went to the gym tomorrow and I said, you know what, Brian, let's just do this as a social experiment. Bring the camera, and I am going to go into the women's locker room, and I'm going to disrobe and expose myself. Now, men, leave it in the comments section. Answer carefully. If your girlfriend, your wife, or your daughter's in the women's locker room at a gym, and a man goes in there and whips out his package, and just under the magical word of being transgender, what are you going to do? And this is going to, if this keeps up... A lot of your
fans are going to want you to do that, I know.
If this keeps up, there's going to be a lot of unnecessary fights.
No, I know. It's
going to create a
and
big...
guess what? If there's a fight, those people are going to be labeled as transgender or transphobic.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a damn shame.
Damn shame.
But you guys need to, if you guys haven't watched that video yet, watch it. Like Brian was saying, there's in the first article I read, she says a white patron came up behind the black lady and says, well, they're transgender. Because they think just as soon as they throw that word out, it makes everything okay. Well, they're transgender. Leave them alone.
Did the black lady turn around and say, you stay in your place, whitey?
No, she did not say that.
She should have. That would have been one time I would have said, use that language.
YT. I learned something today. You guys probably already knew this, that the correct term is transgender. They don't like to be called transgendered. Transgendered is an adjective. So you say there's a transgender person, or even the short form, trans.
Yeah, I never put an ED on it.
Yeah, I don't know if I did or not, but now I'm cautious of it.
Well, that leads us into this story. This beautiful young lady right here. Again, remember that, what was that movie? Anything you can do, I can do better.
Ethel Merman.
So,
Ethel Merman.
I used to do a good Ethel Merman impersonation. I won't do it for you now.
Please don't.
So this lovely young lady was a man, until the age of 14.
Yes.
So her name is Kataluna Enriquez. And at 14, she transitioned and to a woman. We don't know if she had the surgery down below, but she had the facial and the surgery up here. We don't know her old name. Some articles said her old name was Durte, D-U-R-T-E, Dom. But then again, that almost sounds like a troll thing, like Dirty Dom. Yeah. So don't hold us to that. But she won, she won the Miss Nevada to represent Nevada in the Miss USA pageant. Yep. So again, last week we talked about the athletes that were men beating the women and how that's not fair. But now we have men beating women in women's beauty pageants.
Right.
So again, Ethel Merman, you lose. Whoever the gentleman was singing that song with you.
I don't know, and I hope that what's her name, Kataluna. I hope she won based on her merit, whatever it was. But to me, it just seems really ironic that she won during Gay Pride Month.
Yeah, she had lost some pageants before,
and she beat out 21 other contestants. Yeah. I just don't see that happening. I don't know what they look for when they do a pageant. I know.
I mean, she looks good.
Looks really good, but it takes and so we're not like, male chauvinists. It takes more than looks. I guess she went on the platform of transgender and mental illness, and she really focused on those two things. So she had those three things going for her. She focused on transgender population, mental illness, Gay Pride Month, and so they're probably looking at it like, we got to give this to her.
You know what? But
She's done too many things in her favor.
I think those pageants, though, try now to encompass everything. It's not just a looks thing. At least that's what we've been told the last 20 years. So they probably did take that into account. And again, she talked about before she transitioned, she was suicidal. So she had mental issues. Fine. Like we said, you do you. And I don't even, it's a beauty pageant. So you win a beauty pageant, that's what they want. They want this trans person to be representative. Again, I really don't have a problem with that. If I was the females that she beat out and said, "Oh my God, I'm being beat out by men," that might be a little hurtful.
But they asked
different
her
than
that.
sports. It's different than sports.
Someone asked her, they said, well, how do other women in the competition, how do they feel towards you? She hesitated for a little bit, and she goes, I'm not really sure. I can give you my own personal experience. She said a lot of them didn't care. And I think a lot of them would have been fearful, like we said earlier, about the other ladies, like of being called transphobic. So they said, well, I better be quiet. And just take this loss if I have to take it.
I'm sure they are, because that everybody apologizes for anything they may have said in the past. So these ladies, the biological women in the pageant, probably don't want to be labeled anything. So they're going to be gracious. That's fine. Again, she looks good. I guess if she would have even entered it and not told anybody, then we could have seen, well, will she have won just on her talents and all that without all the other stuff going on, like you said.
Right.
But again, to separate this from sports, we still don't agree that biological men should compete with women. Go watch our past episode.
Yeah.
So you got some good comments, though, right?
Oh, yes.
Well, while Cedric looks up the comment, I want to encourage you to send in some more video comments. We get to know you really well when you send in those video comments, so we can put it right up here on the screen. And you can use some Snapchat filter if you don't want to show your face. I don't care. But just make a fun video comment. Tell us how much I'm wrong or whatever you want to do. But the video comments are fun. I mean, we love reading your comments and we love getting your comments. But if you're not shy, go ahead and send us another video comment and we'll put you right up here.
Yes. Well, we got two comments here. We'll make this really fast. I'm going to read this one really quick because Brian and I get this question a lot. And so I'm just going to put it into it right now and be done with it. This is from a person called No Name, and No Name simply asks, are you guys twins? No, we're not. I know we've been friends for 20 years. I know when you hang around someone for 20 years, you start taking on their characteristics and looking like them.
I'm not quite as gray as he is.
Right. But no, we are not twins. So we'll get that comment out of the way. This comment from a person called This Is Life. This one's appropriate because it has to do with transgender issues. And this is from our last Tuesday video when we talked about the athletes competing in the Olympics. And he goes on to say, or she goes on to say, because this is life is not it's a unisex name. Yeah. Jeez. Okay, it goes on to say, why are they not letting these transgender people compete in their biological group? And do the Olympics even allow this? This is bigger than just America. Does the world accept biological men competing in women's sports?
Well, it must, because it's a New Zealander who is going to compete. It has nothing to do with America.
Right.
So obviously the International Olympic Committee okayed this.
Right. But I guess the question is, do we have, you have the men's 100 meters, you have the women's 100 meters. Do we step out of the box and create a transgender 100 meters?
I don't think there's enough to fill it, because like you said, they're only a certain percentage of the population, right. And then you have to be that population and be an athlete. Now, I think what we'll do is we'll see less of, what was his name, Hubbard?
Laurel Hubbard.
Right?
Hubbard.
We'll probably see less of that, and especially with those high school kids, because if they can't just go and try to compete against women, which they know that they're probably going to win, then they may just give up trying to compete at all.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. But if we're not going to do that, I think people should compete in the category of your biological anatomy and leave it at that.
Yeah. Exactly.
Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed that video. We have the Olympics coming up soon. Get out your red and blue and your shirts and get ready to cheer on America. Hopefully we'll have Americans who want to be there. That would be nice. But we appreciate you guys watching our videos. Again, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe, make sure you ring that bell, and share our videos with everyone you know. And in the meantime, please be good to each other. Until next time, I'm Cedric.
And I'm Brian. See you later.